on today will be like this knit pattern and texture. We're going to talk some tips and tricks that might help you get a better result for that. So if you're out there and you're a person who loves crafting and crocheting and knitting, you're going to be like, yes, this is my lesson. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hey, guys.
He is going to help me bring this awesome lesson to you by switching cameras and making sure that your questions get asked to me, because I don't have the chat today, but he has the chat. So you just you give him the chat. If you have a question, put your question all in caps. I want to say hello to all of our Emoji Club members today. If you're worried that Emoji Club is the only way to get your questions answered, we don't have that set up there. We do appreciate Emoji Club, but we do answer everybody's question. Mm-hmm. Everybody's a member of the art family. If you got a very strange text message from me, if you signed up for our text notifications for when we're live, and the text went, fun, Art Sherpa, relax, paint along, it's because I had cute little coffee emojis and things, which apparently textedly changes to question marks, as if I'm questioning my own going live and being fun and being relaxing. So have a laugh at that if you saw that strange message come through. And I say we jump in, look at the materials, and get right on into the lesson.
All right.
Now, if you guys are looking for any of our free extra resources, traceables, grids, step-by-steps, all of that stuff, check the description below. There's links. Also, moderators will be dropping links throughout the show to help you find resources to make this a lot more fun. 16 by 20 surface, gridded out on a 2-inch by 2-inch square. I've chalked it in. You can use either the gridding method or the traceable method when you do this. Basically, what you do is you set up the grid. There's a matching grid reference, and you just draw what's in the square. Mm-hmm. Or you could use projection, or you could use tracing. The step-by-step mini book, when it's done, will have extra information about that in it. I do have a wish today for safety, peace, and love for everyone, because we could all just use a lot more of that lately. Mm-hmm. Now, out here on the palette, I have Naples Yellow Light, Cad Yellow Medium, Phthalo Green, a little Burnt Sienna, a little Cad Red, a little bit of Cad Yellow right here again, Mars Black Titanium White, Burnt Sienna again, Ultramarine Blue, and Phthalo Blue. So that is what we have in. I think it's important to remember that you have about just a little over a 2-inch stretcher bar on the window, mm-hmm. And about 2 inches from the bottom where your table line is set up. So if you're just doing the traceable and you're trying to figure out, well, where are my guides on that? That's about where you would want that to settle in. Do you guys feel confident? Oh, and the background was done. We can put this up as step one. Step one, because you have to do this. So it started with titanium white and Mars Black. And I chose that for this particular piece because I wanted a neutral background to build from. I wanted it to be in a mid-tone gray. That way I kind of had some middle values assessed on the canvas already. I chose the gridding method because it allows me to teach you a lesson where we get an even closer result without using projections or traceables. If you don't love the gridding method, just use the traceable or projection. They're both Renaissance master techniques. They are not cheating. A lot of artists work very hard to bring those techniques to you, so definitely use either one of those. I used to sketch in the Cretacolor white pastel chalk pencil, and as you can see, it draws very nicely on the surface. All right, look at that. We're just getting right in there. And what's also very nice on the surface is that these lines really help me line up. But the other way I get good lines is I use a ruler where I need to have a good straight line. So where I needed to have a straight line on the book, I used a ruler. And I just found the points where the book began and ended and matched those up, the grid allowing me to work that out. I don't have a ton of information on the scarf yet. We'll do that as we paint that in. We're going to want to get its lights and darks, and then we'll add the braiding to the top. And the background window scene is really going to work well with this gray. Plus, our awesome wish of love and peace and safety for everybody. It's going to bring some good vibes into our world. Mm-hmm. So this is all dry and ready to go. And I think based on that, we can put up step 2. We do this so that I can chapter the video after, and also so that matches the mini books. There's a link to the file section on our website. Frida's should be done soon, and this should be done in a few days. Takes us a minute, but we're getting them done. We're committed to the learning process. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Right now, drop an emoji of how you feel right now. I would say GIF, but they don't have that feature. Don't you think they should have GIFs in live chat and the ability to send pictures? Though I know why they don't want it. I understand why YouTube is like, no pictures sent on YouTube. No, because people will abuse it in the worst possible way that you can't even think of. You think you can think of how weird they'll be with it, but you can't. So I think that's why they've denied my request to add. I wanted you guys to be able to put pictures in the comments, but so far, no. Probably because community guidelines are hard to maintain when you have billions of users around the world.
Oh, I see so many cute emojis.
Oh, that is wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Okay.
We're going to block this in. We're going to start out. So I'm going to start out on my window scene, just kind of roughing this in. And I'm going to be going around and doing what's kind of like a roughing or blocking in process on the painting. That's where we kind of use general color values, generally in the mid-range, kind of lay in where objects are, their base values, and then we come back and refine. This is a common process that acrylic artists do to do work, and I'm going to grab let's just do a number 10 bright. This one happens to be a silver bristle-on number 10 bright. A bright is just a square brush. I'm going to get my brush wet. And I'm using a new Stay Wet palette here. I'm testing it. I have no opinions yet. I don't know. I'm going to take out a little of my ultramarine blue and a little of my burnt sienna, and it's going to make a blue-gray. And I'll mix it together amply, and then I'm going to get some of my white. And we're going to come up here and paint in our little mountainscape. All this color, this light white. We can handle that. I'm trying this out because I've been having so many issues with my paint drying out on me too quickly in this new climate with these new sort of winter challenges. So I'm going to see how it is. It's really funny because I talked to my mom today and she had like the 20 reasons why she was not a fan. But I'm going to see if I like it because sometimes she and I have different processes in our painting. Mm-hmm. And even though I have super duper deep respect for her painting opinion, I also recognize that we have different temperaments as painters.
Oh, yeah.
And so sometimes we want a different thing out of our painting experience. And that's important to know. Like, even as you respect a teacher, you respect another artist, to remember you are an individual and your needs might even be different than mine. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. Just roughly painting this in. It's just a nice kind of light winter blue sky. You know how the skies are almost, they're so bright and gray that they're almost like a white.
Trying to find a good place to put the picture-in-picture so it's not in the way.
Well, and if we need to pull that out, the picture-in-picture is, the reference picture photo is on the website. So.
I'm just playing video game console today and moving it all around.
Are you? Let's just kind of put this in. I want it to be a little lighter, you know, up here in the sky. And you can see that it's nice. The gray coming through really sort of gives a hand. I am noticing that this is going to be okay. Now, here's a crazy thing. This thing says I can wash this paper afterwards and reuse it. So I have to do acrylic April paintings every single day.
Yep.
I have to get up early in the morning because not all of them make it into the final program of the 30. And so that means I have to get up and do a bunch to see who can make the cut. Makes it. Like last year, there were paintings that didn't make the cut.
There were many.
And so I've got to get that built up. That's where we are on the sky. We went along our mountain line, right? Our mountain line kind of went up here. Notice that my mountains don't look like points or cones. They're very kind of sloping and irregular. That's important to do when you're doing distant hills because I'm rinsing out. They will, you want this kind of very smooth, formed by wind and geology kind of feel to it.
Has questions.
Has questions? I have a sip of coffee to answer questions.
All right. So, why didn't you use tape, or can you use tape? And can you use tape, and why didn't you use a blender? There we go.
Blender medium or a blender brush?
So blender brush. When
For
you're
what
doing
part?
For your sky background. So why didn't you use a blender in the background?
It's nice for it to be brushy and painterly.
Okay.
Also, I'm doing a lot of acrylic April right now, so I'm sort of in that painterly mindset. Buckle up. We're going to be cooking.
And could you use tape to make that edge crisp if you were worried about it?
Yeah. And if you have a regular shaped edges like this, there are products for airbrush artists that are sheeting that are low tack, where you can take an X-Acto knife and cut it on a cutting board and create shapes and things to make yourself a very nice custom stencil. And then you can reuse them if you need to.
Gotcha. All right. So I think
I like those questions. Those are good questions. I feel like even this brush isn't big enough. Like I'm using too small. I'm going to keep using this size brush, but.
So I don't know where our step divisions are.
I'm still on step 2.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to at least get some, like the background roughed in before we move on to step 3, which will be the foreground roughed in. So just to kind of let you know where my expectation is, I'm taking some phthalo green over to the mix of sky. And we'll come along here. Where it is up higher, you'll see that I'll mix back into my sky mix. Just kind of get it lighter, but yet slightly different than the sky. And you'll see that the hills on our reference diffuse. This is a part of atmospheric perspective. That's the way that natural objects look in the real world to tell us that something is close or distant to us. I'm going to be honest, I'm not hating this experience. We'll see how long my paint lasts unskinned. Mm-hmm. Skinning is where the surface of your paint is drying and makes it very difficult to work with. It doesn't perform quite as well when that happens.
It's in a paint wading pool.
Mm-hmm.
It just sort of absorbs it from below.
You can see that I definitely have brush strokes that are directional, but they're very loose, right? We don't have to be, super regimented, super what's called tight in the experience. We can be loose and it will be okay. And I might deepen the colors as I come down the hill. Deepen your colors as you come down the hill. Maybe a little more blue. You see I'm working burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, and phthalo green. And I'm playing with my sky color to create an organic sense of blending. Now I know I have trees here and they are going to cover up everything I'm about to paint, but I can't predict where my brush strokes are going to be. Mm-hmm. Right? So I don't know what's going to be showing through and what isn't going to be showing through. So my best bet is to paint the entire background, recognizing that at some point as I'm painting it, the trees are going to be peeking through. Right? And we want that to look natural and seamless. So if ever you see me painting something that we know we're painting over later and you're like, why would she do that? It's because even no matter how much you paint or anything, you don't really know where your brush strokes are going to begin and end. Just adding a little more white to that. So you're going to just rough that up. It's fun to do. It is fun to do, actually. Mm-hmm. I can come here too and get a slightly darker green. I can bring my blue over to that. And come here and say, oh, maybe there's a second almost implied hill. And it's just a little darker than the background behind it. And again, this isn't the finished of the landscape. This is just the beginning thoughts about the landscape that let you sort of know what's here and what you're looking at. Now I have a bit of snow here, but I know this is going to come back this way, so I definitely want to work that up. If I get a little bit too blue, I can always just put some brown and green into it. Get back into those deep winter forest colors. Neatly around the cup, but being aware that I've got trees here, and so like over here on the left-hand side, the right-hand side will have a lot of tree events happening, and therefore covering some of our work. We're only doing the work so that as our branches show the background through little holes, that it seems as it would in nature, complete and three-dimensional. Get a little bit of water. I will let you guys know what I think of the Stay Wet palette after I have used it for a period of time. I got to use it in a couple conditions and circumstances. So let's look at that. All right. And then we have just one last little area. Well, we got to get around the cup a bit. And then just here, this will also help us not lose where our windowsill is. All right. Because that would be an area that's easy to lose. And then I might come get a little of my phthalo blue on here. A little of my burnt sienna. And let's snow. Now this will be kind of an aqua turquoise. We're going to come back with a much lighter value.
You in the foreground already?
That's almost.
Still in the background there.
We're still in the background already, and we're trying to avoid painting into the foreground.
I see. That's a little snowy hill there.
Yeah, it's a little snowy hill. All right. So we would call this background blocked in, and that would be the end of step 2, and we will be moving on to step 3. So, I'm going to sip some coffee. I enjoy that.
You're going to sip some coffee for step 3.
Sip some coffee for step 3. It's a good time to change your water or make sure that you have clean water because you've used a lot of greens and blues and browns. And we're about to get into a lot of light colors in some beiges and some taupes. And you wouldn't want those to take on a green cast. So if you're only using one water cup, give that water cup a change up.
I should take
You should. Thank you. I don't know who reminded you. This helps the step-by-step process because, it's very hard to capture steps from the video. We have to professionally photographer. I guess we're professional photographers, right? Are we we're professionals.
You don't play it on YouTube.
We play professionals on YouTube. So what John's doing is he's capturing the finished spot on step 2. When the mini book is written and you guys go to download it, and I hear many of you are binding it into books and stuff, you'll be able to see what you're supposed to get to for that step. So if during this painting process you can print out the finished image and use the step-by-step, what you're going to find is it prevents you from getting lost in the project. And really sometimes as a beginner, that's all you need is a little bit of a roadmap and you're fine. It's just trying to take in the whole process in one swoop that I think overwhelms new artists.
All right. So people are digging this.
I'm digging it too. All right, I'm going to take my own advice and change my water.
Water
Boom. I'm going to make sure my brush is fairly rinsed out so that I've got a nice good thing. We're going to let's start with the windowsills.
Okay.
So I'm going to take a little of my brown over here. And I feel like there is a bit of a red cast into this background. I'm going to get some of my white involved and just start. The reason that you see a bit of red cast into that background is because there is a lot of reflected light coming off the cup and book and scarf that is giving that little bit of color shift there.
Now you have your brush loaded with kind of a mixy mix. It's not
blended.
It's
not like it's not thoroughly mixed. It's definitely in the loosely mixed. We're still doing number 10 bright. We haven't changed brushes. Let's see how long we can go on one brush. Anywho, you're like, why would anyone do that? That seems like a very strange and arbitrary activity. As I'm coming up the side, I can add just a little more yellow into this.
Whoa, you're jumping.
And I'll come over here. I'm going to put out some more white on my surface, my paint surface, because I'm going through it very quickly. You will find that you use white twice as fast as any other color.
Yeah.
So it's generally when you're out shopping, it's better to buy a couple tubes of white. So you always have a backup tube because you really will power through that color more than you think. Where's black? Not as much. Not such a big use case there. Now, if I wanted a very sharp edge, I could use painter's tape, or I can just cut in with my brush. Either is acceptable. And again, keep in mind, we're blocking in. This is that kind of wonderful step. And it's nice that the paint is a little bit streaky. And it's nice that a little bit of the gray is peeking through. So we do have... What
you think?
I'm trying to see how much of the sill. No, my sill would be down here. So this has got to be all red scarf I've got here. All red scarf.
All red scarf.
And sometimes that's what we're looking at. Is like, oh, what is that? And then you're like, oh, it's all red scarf. Now this base here is a little more neutral, and so I would say it's a little more burnt sienna, Mars black, titanium white, much more neutral. I can add a little bit of my cad yellow to it. If you want to just go yellow ochre, you can do that as well. Some really fun lighting we're going to be playing with in the end, but not quite yet. Soon. And I'm adding a little more black into it. So when I come back with my very light value, that's dramatic. I'm going to come forward here and paint in that whole front. So you can kind of see blocking in is just the business of painting. Just what we're doing in the business of painting.
Oh, so they were pointing out that on the right side of the cup, you'll notice that the sill is lower. So you didn't paint the window sill. See how it goes up half the cup? Is that an editing decision?
That's what I did.
So that's what they were like, hey! So the basically your lower color of white needs to go all the way up on that, and then the sill color has to go up the cup about another inch or two.
If I want it there, yeah.
If you want it to.
Which I don't now.
But then you could just paint out the background in the sill window. Through the little cup, where the cup grip is. You just have to paint it out there.
I can fix that. All right, so why don't I show you how you correct that if you notice something like that while you're painting?
And
if you notice something like that while you're painting, huh?
What about the backseat husband screaming, "You got to move the thing!" and
I
change
just
the color.
try to ignore that and just go with the flow.
So I can't even shake you.
No, you can annoy me, but you can't shake me.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'll move all of this up.
Okay. Ooh, that's a trick. You just... Oh, yeah. That's a quick straight edge.
It is a quick straight edge. So I'm using a T-square ruler here, guys. And this is going to let me control where my paint goes, and also make sure that my new line where I'm making an adjustment reflects the same angles and things.
Now this is still just in the underpainting.
So what we're doing is we're blocking in. Now, not ideally on the step-by-step, I might tell you, moving this, but maybe we'll make a little teachable moment in it. All right.
Ah, there it goes. Now the window looks even.
Now the window looks even.
A little bit of windowsill there.
Yeah, there's a little bit where the scarf is going to come, but I got to put this in here for that to... I also have to then go back into the background and change everything.
Everyone's like, we knew you'd see it.
Honestly, probably I would have just auto-adjusted for it through the lesson. It really wouldn't have... I'm just using blue and white, and I'm just going to come here and just go, okay.
So sometimes those things are important, and sometimes
they're not. Yeah, and it's really about, like, it's important for me as a teacher to get back to the grid reference because you guys might be using that. But just personally as a painter, it would not. I would have just auto-adjusted through the whole thing.
You would have just kind of like.
Yep, and it's just been like, that's fine. And I think it's just important to know that, like, even in these moments when you're working something out, probably not too bad.
You know what I recently learned that did not know?
Let's make this a step since we're going to talk about the mistake and the correction.
Oh, okay.
Let's make this its own step because, again, I think we're going to come in, talk about the correction and the whole bit. And I think that's going to...
That'll help.
Yeah. People to understand, like, why it changed from step 2 to step 3. All right. So this will be its own step. You can photograph that. And then I'll do the cup and the book and stuff. So if ever in a painting, all right. So like oftentimes in group, you guys will mention having a really rough experience where somebody comes by, makes a suggestion or a criticism or points out what they perceive as a mistake and that it's really emotionally painful. And what I want to say is, you know, like other than me deciding if as a teacher I should fix it because that's a value to you, or if I should persevere through to show you how to do that, emotionally, it's not as intense for me. And I think the number one reason for that is experience. A lot of times I'm just encouraging you guys to paint more and paint more and paint more and paint more, because as you paint more, you start to, through experience, learn the mistakes that you can just autocorrect for, how paintings tend to work out in the end, and how there are two states, your experience with the painting and the observer's experience with the painting. And they're almost unrelated states. So that's how, even on a live show, John can be like, oh, you did that wrong. You should fix that. And I can be like, yeah, I can get that fixed. And it's not such a big deal. And we can turn that into a teachable moment. And I think that's something, if you're having a hard time taking input from others, just know that you won't necessarily feel that way forever. Like eventually it'll just be input and you can choose to take that in and make an action on it, or not to take it in because it isn't relevant to what you were doing with the painting. So that's just something important to know. And also it's important to know you can fix anything going on with your art.
So this will be step 4?
I don't know. You're in charge of counting steps.
So we're going to be on the next step here, step 4?
Step 4. So let's start, and we're going to put in the red things now mostly. Now, the background, right, I'm going to take a little of my brown and cad yellow, my burnt sienna, and my cad yellow. And I like my Naples yellow. I will pull it into some things, but right now I'm just wanting to rough in. And so these will be a little bit more yellow than I will have them at the end. But again, we're just... roughing in the book. And I got to get out of John's way. Sometimes I stand so that it's comfortable for me.
That's okay. We have multiple cameras.
That's why John put in multiple cameras. How did we actually get here this moment?
Well, no, I mean, it's because as a painter, in order to do a marathon paint job, I mean, like, Cinnamon's not up here for a short time.
As so many people like to tell me on their comments.
Well, and
so chatty and long. You could have done it in 15 minutes. I'm like, yeah, I could have made a 15-minute video, but you can't paint from one.
That's a time lapse.
That's a time-lapse video.
And yeah, you get to see every bit here.
Yeah, and that's what this is about, is seeing the process. Even seeing, we tend to, like, if I spill paint, we fix it on the show. If there's something that happens, we tend to correct on the show because, honestly, sometimes we're going to probably timestamp that, and then you could go back and say, Cinnamon fixes a problem, so.
It's just,
Adding a little more white to that. I'm just kind of working that out. And again, this is roughed in. We're not like changing everything. Now, I do like to work my Cad Red and black. I can do Doc's purple too, but I find that I really enjoy just capturing my Cad Red and black. It's a fun thing for me. And again, we're still just using this big bright, working through. Layer 1, blocking in. And we're on step 4, right, babe?
Yes.
Is that the step?
This is step 4. I'm now going to adjust up to the next step.
You are?
Just getting it ready. It's an anticipatory move.
That's probably a good idea.
I know that at some point, you're going to get to step 5. Now I'm going to need to be ready for you.
At some point today, I believe you will achieve a 5th step. Whoops.
Can I thank some folks while you're waxing philosophical?
I am just going to be like painting in all of this red. So thanks some folks.
We've got some new folks in Emoji Club.
Welcome new members of Emoji Club.
And I saw there was a new member who joined early, and I want to say, Cecilia Dunn just joined up. And do you remember who was earlier who joined?
Daisy.
Daisy, I think that's right.
Daisy May.
Man, thank you. You're sharp today.
I don't know, man. I'm on it. I'm on it. On it. Add a little bit of white. What am I marking out? I'm marking out the zones of shadow.
The zones of shadow.
Yeah. Got to mark out them zones of shadow. I'm adding a little bit of white to here. There is a reflection, and honestly, it will probably be this color here. But I'm going to right now just add white to my red, knowing that I'm going to come back with my sky color. Sometimes if a surface is very shiny, it will be reflective like a mirror. And you need to take account of that when you're working.
Claire asks, what is Emoji Club?
We're adding a little bit of black to the bottom and we'll shade up.
So Emoji Club is how... So YouTube had this thing where they could make it so you could add emojis to your chat. But the only way you could add those is if you charged people to join a club. So Cinnamon was like...
Well, they're channel memberships. We already had a patronage going, so I never turned it on because I was like, we've got a patronage. What, they're supposed to patron everywhere? That would be crazy.
So we just were like, Emoji Club is a lightweight way that we can add a whole bunch of emojis to people, and it's an expanded toolkit that YouTube allows us, and so we have a nominal joining thing fee, and it's all driven on YouTube's platform. I actually don't even know how much it is.
Oh, it's $1.99.
$1.99. So it's
and why is it $1.99? You ask? Because we're always cracking that $2 joke from the John.
My $2.
So That's arbitrarily why.
Yep.
But we do change them up pretty regularly. And as we get more members, we do stuff. I think I'm going to do something when we hit 300, because historically on our channel, we celebrate anytime we hit 300. So when we hit 300 members, I'll probably do a thing for members.
Because we are Sherpa.
Because we are Sherpa.
This is madness. No, this is Sherpa.
Just good times. Good times. And again, you can see that I'm just roughing this in.
We're well over Sherpa today.
Are you well over Sherpa today?
We're closer to double Sherpa.
Double Sherpa. 2 Sherpas. So I'm just adding more red as I go into the black, right? And what am I looking to do here? I'm just right now capturing values. And now I have a deep shadow. I have to capture hue and shape and value just a little bit. Blocking in. A lot of times artists get real frustrated at their painting and not knowing that they're just in a blocking in stage. Everything is fine. It's just not done yet. And you can see it's just rough. I don't mind if some of the gray shows through. We're just building up levels. It's going to look shockingly good when it's done. I always love that, especially if you're new here. Stay to the end. It's always like that magic trick where it's like, is it a painting? Is it a painting? Is it a painting? Last 20 minutes. Oh my gosh, it's such a painting. So always fun to stay for. Just trying to make sure we got some color on there. Now we've got this wonderful scarf. I love the scarf. I'm looking forward to the scarf, actually. I have not done, except like all my snowmen, knitted fabric. So that will be the last time. And we're going to get into it just a little more than maybe the snowman lesson did. I'm pretty sure. Because I think, I think that crafting and stuff is important to people. And this is clearly a handmade object, isn't it? We give our love. And hopefully our family members appreciate it. But maybe not. Because, family. It's complicated. This is sort of a mid-red. And this is rough, right? We're not doing everything. We're just kind of maybe 2 values, 3 most in this rough underpainting. How are we liking this set paint palette? I would love to ask you guys, what do you guys think about having a set palette so you know what to expect for the whole year, even the challenges? Doesn't mean huh?
I'll keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
Now Heather was asking. She's a first timer.
Hi Heather, welcome to the show.
She says, "Will this be posted up anywhere where she can watch it again?"
Yes. I have over 1,000 previous lessons. Don't be overwhelmed, Heather. It's okay. I know it's a lot. Yes, and we don't get, knock on wood, stuff isn't taken down because we don't really do the things that violate terms of service. Right? The one time they did take something down, they were like, oh yeah, it totally didn't violate terms of service. The algorithm must be crazy today. I mean, the video was still gone, but So we don't, these stay up here. You can see them on our website. There's a search feature on our website. You can also search them here on YouTube in the little search bar. I rake them from 1 hoot, 2 hoot, and 3 hoot, and that's sort of beginner difficulty because there's a wide range of beginners, right?
Yeah.
So everyone says easy beginner tutorial. It's a great search term, but there really still some qualifiers for those search terms, about where you're at in your art journey. So we try to break it into that. We have tons of extra resources. A mini book will come after, which is a step-by-step written out thing. We're starting for the 2021 painting year. And we do about 200 New lessons every year. Which, when you say it out loud, it's a lot.
It's a couple.
It's a couple, because we also have the watercolor lessons on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those are also on our website, because we know not everybody loves Facebook. We get it. We understand. Facebook is not everybody's favorite. Some people are like, Facebook! Like, you know, the way Kirk was about Con. It's just not, they're just like not a fan. It's not working for them. They're not enjoying it. And I get it and respect it. I understand how you feel. So see, we've got the slightly lighter value. When I want to lighten the value, I add a little red. When I want to deepen the value, I add a little dark. So I have a little more black here on these underside areas and a little more red where it is lifted a bit. That doesn't mean I won't come back and add some more shadow a couple of different places. We're just blocking in. One of the reasons that I'm forever like conveying to students that tracing and projection isn't cheating, besides the fact that it is a literal Renaissance skill set, so done by masters. The other reason I say that is because the way we paint things in, all of your anchor lines kind of just become zones, and you still have to be able to paint it in, which is why sometimes painting and drawing are different skills. You just come here. And you can see I'm not worried about getting every bit of the gray painted out. That's okay. This is a painting, not a photograph. And so we don't worry about everything. Now maybe I'll get a little white in there because I see a little white in the red on the window. We'll put a little bit of that in there. Just for the zone. Just for the zone. We do it for the zone. Zone. And I'm just roughly painting this in. We'll get a brush that maybe has a smaller aspect to it later to put in. But for the most part, that's what it... Oh, wait, nope. Not ready.
Nope.
Not ready.
Not ready.
Not ready. A little white and yellow. Maybe some Naples yellow this time. It does a nice little beigey thing. Come on in here. Now, that's where we're at. That was a little of the Naples yellow. You can just use Cad yellow on this if you want. I just like the Naples yellow. All right, now we're there.
Now you're there.
Now we have gotten to the underpainting stage. There is a thing where on video, a really messy painting can look really good in a thumbnail. And one of the things that I always want to make sure that I do is make sure that your painting at home looks good to the eye. So we do take the extra time to do things like underpaintings and do finishing work. So you guys have the chance to have the best possible results on your wall. Because it has to look better than, you know, it's got to live beyond the thumbnail. It's got to live beyond, you know, the moment in the film. It has to live in your life in a real way. Do you know what step we're on? Is it 6 or is it 5? Sure? 5? Step 5! It's probably going to be a 10-step painting. Woo! Window. Step 5. I'm going to sip my oh, it's cool. My cup is not cozy. It is cool. Let's get back into our background again. So I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and get a little white into it. If you add some green. So we're taking a little burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, green, and let's come up here and let's just dry brush this mountain a little bit at the top here. Right? It's a little bit. Dry brush means there's not a lot of water on my brush and some of the paint is showing through underneath. Come over here. Same colors, just maybe a little bit deeper. And we're just brushing that through. Okay to leave this a little bit dark there. If coming forward, it's maybe a little more green and brown, that's all right. Maybe a little more brown and a little more white. Also rough. Let's be rough with this. This is just a dry brush in. So dry brush is a little challenging in that when you do it correctly to your eye, it'll look a little weird. But when you back up from the painting, it's really kind of wonderful. I get a lot more white on here. It picked up a little bit of the red, but that doesn't really bother me because this is in the distance. And let's talk about some snow that's up on this hill, right? By not having it be a clean white, it helps make sure that the snow doesn't become so bright that it pulls away from the background into the foreground. I'm going to take also a little bit of brown. And weirdly, I'll get some of this background color into it. There's just a lot of that. And we're going to make some little upward little streaks. These are distant trees. And they kind of come from about here in the cup. And you can see that I don't mind that the line is breaking. I'm creating the texture of distant trees. I will bring it a little bit below my snow cap. And the reason for that is that I want it to feel like these are full-grown trees. That's a sad doggy. Add a little white to this and highlight some of the trees. Sometimes it's nice to, I'm going to kind of scumbly some distant little tree leaves. These are dry little fellows. I'm just working the corner and I'm just roughing it around. Little distant base.
One of the things that
and I can switch into a round at this point and do some slightly more details, but not much. One of the things, what?
One of the things that's sort of unspoken about these wintry scenes is how dry the air is inside one of these heated homes. Like, we didn't realize how dry our air got. And that Stay Wet palette, how's it?
So far, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are familiar, if you watch the show a lot, how fast my paint skins. And I still seem to have workable paint here. I'm not, I didn't put the humidifier out. I'm just doing little light lines.
Yep.
These are just to sort of inform this little bank of trees.
Now, we learned an interesting thing that
number 4 round on this brush. It's a number 4 round. Bring the trees back so that my other trees have something to layer into. There's an interesting thing we learned.
Yeah. Not only does it dry out paint fast, but bubbles.
Oh, yeah.
Bubbles turn to sludge
We've got to clean the bubble machine. It took a hit. So, these are very loose, right? This is a distant loose effect. You can even get your fingers involved here. You don't want things to be too in focus. These are far away. Let them be far away.
Wow. Arula Rassi says, never missed a live since 2019 from India.
Hot, and we're like live and not early, not good hours for India. I know like our 5 o'clock is like at 3 a.m. And this is pretty late in the evening. Like you're hanging in. So I really appreciate that a great deal.
Art high fives.
Art high fives. Art high fives. Art high fives. I'm going to put out some white paint.
Are you?
Yeah. Much like predicted, we are going through it fairly quickly. Put it out in a couple of spots. I am not hating this wet palette though. This paper is I was very concerned that I would not enjoy the non-drying nature. Get a little black in here, just a smidge.
Change! We resist it!
I don't know if I resist it, but I know I was a little concerned. Let's bring this here. It's okay to allow some of this to show through, right? And then you can just come and build up a little white there. I love doing snow. It's pretty relaxed little process. I know I'm going to have some trees there, so important to keep that going. Looking good. Now we got to put some trees on the left side and then trees on the right side when it's dry. And to do that, I'm going to grab my fan brush.
Daisy
would.
She would like to know, what brand of Stay Wet palette are you using?
Stay Wet, the official brand.
Oh,
I just bought brand. So I know the guys from the New Wave palette, and they make a really good pill paper palette, like a really good one. And they make a really good glass palette, and their glass palette fits in the Stay Wet box. So they had talked to me about it. And I had, said why my mom didn't enjoy it and why I hadn't tried it. And I had tried it a little bit, but had not myself enjoyed it. But this I am enjoying. And they suggested get on brand, don't buy off brand, and to try it. And so I was like, I bought this myself. Nobody sent it to me. I probably bought too many sheets because I don't know about the view. I thought it was like tearaway. I didn't know I could rinse this off, including the paper, and like use it again. So I purchased like it was a tearaway. It's kind of a weird deal there. I'm going to use a hog bristle brush. Here's 2 examples of them. I really love the Cambridge. This is the Simply Simmons number 6. I also have an Art Sherpa fan. These 3 have something in common. They are stiff fans. If you were to get, say, a nice soft fan like this one, and I'll change up my water. If I was to get a nice soft fan, it would not be stiff enough to move the paint. And also look what it does.
Ooh.
So I need a fan that isn't going to do that to me and is a little bit fluffy and isn't going to give me that kind of grief. I have a series of videos about fans for that reason. I'm going to actually probably start with one of mine. So this is my larger fan. This is my number 6. I'm going to get a little of my burnt sienna and phthalo green together. I might even pull some black into this because I need this to be a very deep color. And I'm going to come here and let's do this middle tree. I tap up and down. Now, if you watch my fan video, you know that if the handle is up, your branches go upward and smile. And if the handle is down, your branches frown. So if you look at these trees, you can get a real sense right away that these branches are kind of upward branches. Doesn't mean you don't have to paint the tree still. It's true that fan brushes do make easier work of pines and help us kind of create their shapes with a little bit more artful elegance, but you still have to paint the tree. There's no getting out of painting the tree. Now down low, pretty solid, so I can take this here. Now this thing actually goes up a lot further than I have it. It's like almost to the top, so I've got to remember that. Where I want to make a smaller mark, I use half the brush. All right, so I'm going to load half and come back this way. Still have to make believable trees. Fill that little fellow out there. It's looking pretty good. You can kind of see this little motion. There's a bit of a push, there's a bit of a pull. It's going to let me create kind of a solid tree. All of this really comes together when I add snow anyways. So I need just a nice little outer shape that's indicative. Isn't that a lovely tree?
Mm-hmm.
It's just so nice. Now I may get my tape involved over here because I've got some work to do over there, but I will come here and work this one out first. And then this one does come just a little bit above the mountain line. I don't want to make a ladder. I want to make a tree. So I've got to pay attention to not making ladders. It's easy to get a ladder going in a tree. And when I say ladder, that's where you evenly space the branches out as if you could climb them in the way you might a ladder. Happens to everybody. Coming down. Oh, it's a really pretty tree.
Mm-hmm.
When it snows, it's going to be gorgeous. Now, I want you to know right now, I'm finishing this red cup with a bit of a heart's steam coming off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're hoping for some more hearts beyond what we have coming up in February, enjoy. It's okay that I have painted over the lip. I can always come back with my finger and a little bit of water and just push it back, see?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to be stressed about it. When you're looking for the correct fan, you want stiff, resilient with a firm flick back. This is painter's tape. Low tack tape that allows me to tape my surface and know that I can paint right up to this edge. So I can do this sort of very messy, brushy technique and not worry about painting too far over into my window. Hopefully have that straight enough. That will be the trick. Is it straight enough?
Does it make is it critically straight? Oh, you're gonna decorate.
Put out some more green. So you can see it's really about making sure that, you know, that tree's peeking out from the window, because your window scenes, if you think about it, the world continues beyond your window. It does.
Mm-hmm.
It happens beyond your window. So, you know, your trees, the objects in your world should also live beyond your windows. I'm going to load up a little bit heavy on the right side. Try to capture this nice little fat, wonderful tree. And now you can understand what I mean about little bits of your world peek through. It's okay if I go over my scarf a bit with this because my scarf's going to get painted back. I know where it is. I just had to know where the thing was.
Scarf won't.
Scarf won't disappear.
It won't fade off into the.
Now, this size fan is great for big trees, like what I have here. But I actually probably will want a smaller fan. So let me grab one of my smaller fans and I'll demonstrate a hog. This is a number 4 hog. I'm going to get it wet. You can see it doesn't do fingers of death particularly. Now, how the hog is different than a synthetic is that the hog bristles on it kind of flay out. So it does an interesting, more diffused tree. See, right there? And has a little easier time with like the tops. Same principles, though, in general about shapes.
Wow. This is the step of trees.
The tree step. Yes, it is. The step of the trees. But sometimes you need a tree step. So enjoy your tree step. You can see I just do my little corner there and then when I want to fatten out my tree, I just fatten out my tree. Fatten it out as you need to. Doesn't mind. I might get a little of my blues down here. Interestingly enough, under the tree, adding a little bit of blue. Oh, weird thing that you can do. And then this side also has a bit of a partially showing tree.
It has a dramatic tree.
Tree drama is like the best.
You know.
So now we have like boom, boom, boom. Guess what I'm going to do? Take my hog.
I enjoy a little tree drama.
And I create a little second. Now I know that I'm going to want a dark value down low, so go ahead and take your round brush and where you need clean lines with a dark value, come back through, mixing these together. Right, because why not?
Heather says these are a blue spruce.
They're a blue spruce. The spruce goose.
The spruce is blue.
The spruce is blue. All right, I've got to dry this. We're not yet on another step because we haven't added snow.
It's the blue hue spruce.
We haven't added snow, and I got to hair dry. So give me 2 seconds. Oh, hi, Twix. Are you okay?
It's almost like Dr. Seuss wrote about it.
Okay, I don't know what's happening here, but it all wants to knock my stuff down.
Oh, I thought you were going to... Ah, there I am. What's she doing over there? She's drying the blue spruce, which is kind of cool. I didn't know that's what they were. Anyway, thank you guys. Thank you, Heather. And thank you all for joining us. It's a pretty awesome day. We got a nice crew of folks here. Don't forget that don't use heat, and also don't forget to subscribe. Yay! I remembered to ask you guys. So,
do. All
I
right,
gotta take a picture, don't I?
Not yet, because
No?
I haven't added snow.
Oh.
I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my burnt sienna. It's going to make it gray. I'm going to come underneath here and kind of, with my finger, blush out a little bit of a gray.
Now, is that a technique.
Yeah, it actually is.
Really?
Flushing out is a technique.
Blushing out?
Yeah, because it's like, or rouging, sometimes referred to as rouging. You'll see it more in pastel work and oil work, but it is a thing that you do.
It's like when you put the makeup on your face.
Yep.
But you
You
do
can
it
add
with
a
your
little
fingers.
water to your finger, and you're just adding a bit of an effect. And then I'm going to come back through and get some of my white going.
So what size finger are you using?
My ring finger. Oh my gosh, I love that. And so just kind of creating a little bit of a brighter highlight. Maybe like here saying, ah. There we go. So that's very nice. I'm going to need to do, now after this step, if we can do a coffee break, Don, like with
could?
Can we do the pee break song or?
I can. Now everyone's like, what's the pee break song?
I want to do the pee break song.
Okay.
And then, and so we'll do the step and then the pee break and then come back and finish up the foreground. But let's get some snow on the trees. So I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue.
You got to make sure I got the pee break ready.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of snow to paint, so you've got a minute.
I got it ready.
So I'm going to make a very light, almost white, kind of blue, and I'm going to come here and it's number 4 fan. And, thoughtfully add little bits of snow to what is the top of the branches that you painted in. And when I say thoughtfully, what I mean is slow down. Remember, some of the branches are facing you and some are coming away. And this is sort of a two volume thing. So, you may come back with one more layer of bright white. That's why I was like with John, like, you've got a second because, snow takes a minute. Snow is not a quick process. It is a process.
As I have learned, snow is a deliberate process.
When you're trying to, like, deal with your yarn. I can imply forward branches with the snow, which is kind of nice. And if I just tap in, it's just, ooh. My left branches have snow. On your little brush, enjoy painting the snow. I'm painting the snow again.
Trees have snow.
They do. They catch a little snow. It's a little different than catching a little flak, but
Tell you what, they hold a lot more snow than you think, especially when you're walking underneath one and they drop it.
we're learning about snow.
It's a lot of snow on a tree.
I was born in a snow place, but that was a minute ago.
What made you decide where the snow goes?
Well, the reference one, and then also where I painted my branches, I recognize that the snow has to be caught by branches.
There's some snow physics.
Snow physics apply. Don't forget your snow physics. Maybe a little more white as we come over.
Now, we have a lot of folks that get product on other sides of the planet from us.
Yes.
Some of it we have bumped into a little bit. Some of
Right.
it we have not bumped into a lot.
Right. I did try to make a a file or blog of all the paint companies I could find, but I haven't tested all the paints.
Now, there's one, I believe, from down under, from Montmartre.
Montmartre's a good company. I actually like them very much, and they have a good YouTube channel, straight up.
We have some of their easels.
I love their folding easel.
We
travel with it.
But we don't get to use your paint very much because it's a long journey for paint.
But look, here's what I'll say. From Australia, very much like Matisse d'Aravan, very much like Montmartre. What I will say is, and look, the platform's changed a lot. So Montmartre used to be a channel people saw a lot, but then it stopped being. But they're still making content. They make a lot of training resources, and I can say as a pink-haired woman who's kind of goofy, so sometimes people don't realize, like, I know exactly what I'm talking about. He also sometimes has kind of a goofy vibe, but he really does know exactly what he's talking about. So
and cares.
Yeah.
About product and the people and what they make. So good company to...
Good company.
In
like
general.
them very much.
So
And they have an economy range. They have a range of products. So, like, in your pro brands, I'm like, dude, Matisse d'Aravan. But if you have to work your budgets and you got to kit out your studio and you want to do a lot of different art materials, and if you haven't bookmarked that channel, and if you do bookmark that channel, you tell them that the Art Sherpa sent you that way and that we send our love. All right. Well, love is a little bit... Well, I do send my love. Actually, I'm not going to take that back.
We send love.
We send love.
I'm
going to add a little bit of bright white to a couple of the spots of the snow.
There's more than enough love to go around. There
is. And what the world needs now is love, sweet love. Dude. Thank goodness there was Bridgerton on Netflix. I just disappear into my imaginary world. And the new Annette Marie book came out. So I was like, I had someplace to go in my mind. But it's been... I'm so glad I get to do art.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just adding 2 values of snow. I find it's nice. You know that the highlighted snow probably goes where other slightly darker snow was. So wherever you put that, you want to definitely come back and give it a couple of... There you go. All right. So I'd say this is the step.
That's the step.
We'll photograph this, do coffee. I got a fresh... This is the time where I've got to... You know I hate that shot. This is the time I got to freshen up all my water. I hate that shot. It's fine. It's just like the top of my head. It's just... Never had to think about my part so much. Like, seriously. It's like, did I part well today? I'm going to find out if we're doing an easels lesson. So let's all have a minute. Change out our water cups. Go fresh up our coffee. Stretch if you need to stretch. Hit the restroom. We'll do a little break and then come back and... Yeah,
this is a little over 3 minutes long. And if we don't make it quite back in time, we'll come back in the middle of the next one. Yeah. Just don't worry.
We're coming back, though.
We're not going to be back long. So
we're going to come back.
All right. I think I have to push a button and then have something that says...
And you got to take a picture.
Take a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then, put a little thing up, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
See you guys in a minute.
Okay.
White sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze. Eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Take me back to where it all began. Show me myself without the shell. When beauty was enough to save you from yourself. Make me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. White sand, blue bay, hand in hand, slept there for days. Light wind, gray haze. Eye to eye, we parted ways. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Soft-stepped hard shells, shallow whispers in deep swells. Help me catch my breath, we're getting higher. Imagining your face, you're my desire. Meet me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection. Tell me you crave my affection. Forever be waves of my ocean. Take me back to where it all began. Show me myself without the shell. When beauty was enough to save you from yourself. Make me under the ocean. Save me from surface rejection.
You want to step around?
We're here. So we're going to come back in.
Woo, that was nice. It is important important to remember your physical well-being, your physical self in a painting, to take a deep breath, breathe in that creativity, breathe out that frustration from the week. Pay attention to how your back feels, your shoulder feels, and your neck feels. Pay attention to not grinding your teeth or holding your breath, because those are all things that new painters do. Oh, and the death grip on the brush. Brush! You want to just make sure you're relaxing your body, because painting sessions can be long and you want them to be sustainable, and you don't want to end up with a stress injury from painting, because it's very hard to explain to your doctor and they may laugh a little.
Okay.
I can just say that from personal experience.
Now we're still here, moving on to step 6.
Step 6. Step 6, which is now we're going to move into the foreground. How fun is that?
That's perfect.
I want to do that. I love that. So this is great. Apparently I pulled my tape and then did a little painting, but it's not too bad because the white will totally work. I didn't know I did that. That's so weird. I'm weird.
You are.
I'm weird.
I married you.
Thank you. I appreciated that. It's been a great 20-something years. Some number of years.
Some number of...
Couple decades.
A time.
Let's get on into the next part of the painting. Now, I'm going to use a smaller bright. And I want to use a smaller bright because I just want to have, well, this is actually pretty good when I can stay on this bright. Sometimes it's nice to show you guys that you can stay on a brush the entire time. Kind of a fun thing. Again, guess what color I have to put out?
What's that? What color?
White.
White? Oh, well, yeah. Put some more out.
I like to put it around places so that I can get into it from different places and different angles. I'm going to go ahead and load up my bright here with a little bit of my Naples yellow light and my white. Come up to the top of my sill.
Yes. You know that this is an adult home? There's no fingerprints on the windowsill.
So true. I'm going to go ahead and get a little bit of my toned white, this is a bit of my Mars black and burnt sienna. I'll keep coming down. It is nice to sort of be attentive to just how light and dark something is. So you'll see me darkening the value as I go. And that is always about, trying to find that light and dark value, pushing that out. So I've got a very light top sill, but it's deepening up as it comes through the side.
Amy points out, and clearly no dogs live here because there's no dog nose smear marks on the window.
Also true. And no cat, because the cat would have laid on top of all of this.
That for sure, that scarf would be covered in fur.
Covered in something anyways. I'm going to take a little of my red and some of my white. And let's kind of dry brush a bit of this over. I like to take it right up to the edge of the cup. I need to continue a bit of this a little over on the other side. And you'll see me extend that into my cup a bit, and I don't mind because I just have to know where it is. I'm going to get into more of my little black, maybe a little ultramarine blue. And let's come here in a corner. Make sure we've got a nice dark.
Oh no! You're painting yourself into a corner.
Oh my gosh. You got to be careful when you go, oh no, man. Because I'm always like, oh boy, what do I got to repaint? I'm just kind of making sure there's a nice gray value here. It's still got just a little burnt sienna, and then I'm going to come back here.
No.
It is okay. I may get some of my Naples yellow back here and kind of add some yellow to this space. And that's just because the reflected light is happening.
If you can, there's a good series of questions that have been sort of brewing around in chat.
Let me paint myself out of the corner, and then I totally can.
Good.
I've just got to get this one little corner kind of worked out, and then, yes, I can. I'm going to take a little bit of my black on the edge of my brush, along underneath here, making sure that my sill has some shadow there. Maybe imply a bit of something happening here, very lightly. And then a much lighter corner right here. All right. Then before I get into the next thing, I can answer questions.
Okay. So are we ready to move on to step 7?
No.
Okay, then
You
no,
just
I'm
said for
wait.
questions.
Nope,
You said I got to
I'm
stop for questions.
I'm going to make you wait. You have to wait until the next step. I didn't realize. I thought you'd be the next
Oh my
step.
gosh, John.
You have to wait.
Oh my gosh, you better not be messing with me on purpose.
On purpose?
On
Of
purpose.
course I'm messing with you on purpose.
Ooh, I don't love it. I'm going to add a little bit of a highlight here.
But I'm not trying to. I'm going to save the questions for. I thought you were at a next step. I've
got a bit of work to the next step. So if the question can wait,
it can. We're going to wait
then
until
we'll do it at the next step.
Yep.
I'm going to continue on into the kind of gray color that is again. Sometimes as the paint layers up, it just really starts to pull the whole thing together. So it's super wonderful to capture that. Now there's an extra little shadow under the yarn. So I'm going to take a little bit of my ultramarine blue into my little gray black and you see kind of creating a little shadow. And then adding a slightly darker value right there to talk about what's under the sweater. I also want to make sure that I'm coming along the edge of my book here. I will likely have to put some value back, some color back. And if that's the case, you just come through and trim this way, what I find. So I got to do this sill over here. I'm gonna rinse out thoroughly. Add a little highlight there. I'm going to come in and grab some of this and just make sure that we are getting that next layer like you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as we get closer to the window, I'm going to get more of my white and Naples yellow involved. With as steady of a hand as I can, I'm going to pull down. If I'm unsure of how steady my hand's going to be, I just will tape it. Now in painting, one of the wonderful things is that you have some choice in editing, right? So you do want to include certain elements of what you see, but you don't necessarily. I'm going to grab a little yellow into my little mix over here with my red. Get a little bit of my white involved. Am I in your way, sweetheart?
No.
Okay. And a little bit of white there. So we're just creating some shadows and some thought there. I'm gonna maybe even pull a little of my Naples yellow into this little reflection. And the reason for that is that I think it will create a sort of light drama that later I will be super glad about. Making sure that we like what we've got. All right. Now I think that we've got almost this all done. Almost. I'm going to want to take probably my T-square and a little bit of my blue and black paint. And just make sure I've got a deep shadow here. I'm going to want those shadows. Come in with a little of my blues. And a little bit of blue there that we see reflected in the sill. Because we do have a little bit of blue reflected. All right. Now I think we can add a step, whatever it is, whatever step it is. And I'm going to sip my coffee and then we'll... Seven? Seven it is. I think it'll end up being about 9 of them because I'll do the coffee cup and the book as one. And then I'll do the scarf as the last one.
All right. So here's a question. This is kind of an interesting thing because you recommend several different brands of beginner paint.
Yes, I do.
What makes you select one brand? What makes you suggest a beginner's paint when you're selecting one? No matter where you're at in the world, where do we start?
Established company, a company that's been around a minute that has a easy to use kind of customer service portal. So if you have a problem, you can talk to somebody. I look for a company that carries a pro brand and a student brand. So if there's pigment that carries throughout, if there's binders, if there's a sort of sensibility in the company from top to the bottom. If my community tells me that they had a lot of bad customer service, or if they had a lot of off paint, like the paint looked like cottage cheese or it was super separated. Like if I hear a lot of complaints from you, that paint is no longer on the recommended list. So even if I haven't ever had a problem with it, I have 600,000 people that I talk to, and so they'll tell me if they do. So I really like abstract acrylic. This stuff, love it. Whole line, they have everything. PBO is good. Amsterdam is good. If you're going to do craft paint, deco, and yes, craft paint is real paint. You're not hallucinating. It's not hologram. It's real paint. It exists on the shelves. You can pick it up and touch it. So, and by the way, they all work with each other. You can use student paint or craft paint with pro paint. So, all right.
So, now on to step 7.
Let's start with the lip of the cup. So I'm going to take a little of my yellow and maybe some of my black. Oh, I like those two together. That's my Naples yellow light. And I'm going to come here and start to paint the lip. I'm using a number 4 round. I mention that because you might need to know what brush it is. You might not know. Now, as I come here, I'm going to add a lot more white. And I'm going to also kind of add a little highlight here that's happening. and on the top. A little more black, a little more that, and maybe just a bit in there. The coffee is down here, so you wouldn't really see it. It's not something that you would really see.
How do you know?
Different.
You know, you
How do
have
I know? I'm
coffee
the
sixth
artist.
sense.
Huh?
You have coffee sixth
I know where
sense.
all the coffee is.
You just
The coffee cannot fool me. I know where the coffee is. It cannot hide from me.
It's like the.
I'm going to take I just want a slightly smaller bright. This is an 8. It's like the 10, but it's just slightly smaller. I just want a slightly smaller bright. I'm going to take a little of my yellow and red and add some white to it. And come right here. And pull a bit of this reflection. Maybe get over here into where the little black was, but we're going to a little reflection right here. Add a little more black into that. And then right here. So already we're kind of getting those shaping, interesting elements of what could be going on. Maybe a little bit of that red there. Come in on the inside lip of the handle with the light. I've just gotten into some white. Come along the top of the handle with some white. I definitely would come on this outside edge. And then I'm going to get a little more right here. Pull it up. Looks pretty okay. I feel like I want a little bit more happening here, so I'm going to come here and just make sure I've got a little more white right here. This number 8 bright.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be a number 8 bright. It just is a number 8 bright. Now, I'm going to take a smidge of my almost pure cad red. Add it here. Add a bit right here. And then we're going to bring that down in kind of a little angle. I'm going to take my red and some of my black, which we did before. And the reason this part of the cup that you have would be a little more in shadow is because the window is on the other side of it. It's got some reflected light from other objects in the room, perhaps lamps or different things that are lighting it up. And of course, its own physical mass blocks and allows light to shine on it. So those things will impact it. So these things are all impactful. I'm adding a dark value when I want to.
Yeah, it helps to see the reflections in the reference to kind of know where you're putting them.
Yeah, you know, you cannot paint what you don't see. There's a few people that work almost entirely from imagination, but they've just painted everything. And so they have a broad, really developed visual language with which to work from. They paint everything. I have a guy I would recommend watching, but he paints a lot of very adult, almost Tom of Finland level adult artwork. And so while he is a master artist, it isn't for everybody. However, I can tell you for sure that as an example, he talks about just having drawn everything all the time, drawn everything. And that's how he got that way. Skilled at his art. The other thing is just, I guess, personal preference of things to paint. Not unusual. I'm going to come here and dry brush a little of my red over it. Kind of. So they're here, they're happening, but they're just a little blended in maybe. I'm going to come in and get a lot of my red black. On the corner of my brush when I need to control, it's how it paints, right? Like, so I don't have to always change to around as I'm controlling my brush by just using the different sides of it. A little more red on there as I come around. A little more red there. A little black. Interestingly enough, I'm going to pull some pretty bright red right here. As you do.
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, it's a complete almost Peter Griffin moment, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you see, it's got the caffeine in it.
It's got caffeine in it. But it does have caffeine in it. Rinse out really, really well. I'm going to come in and get a little of my ultramarine blue and a lot of my white. Maybe a little bit up here. A little bit there at the handle. Maybe a little bit there. Little blue on the inside there. And there we go. And then I think fun to do. Fun. A little bit of faint one there. So we're just going through and we're just getting those reflections on the cup. Now at this stage, I may add a little of my Naples yellow and white from the sill back to here, because as you can see, that's where the in a couple of these places we want to put a brighter highlight. I'm going to take a little bit of my white. And generally pick the blue as a place to do that. I'm going to come in and really get my white. All right, let me look at that. I may call that its own step, man. Oh, perfect. So it's a good time to step back and evaluate your cup.
To step a step?
Step a step.
You gotta be careful with those step sevens, though.
Yeah?
Because 7 likes to eat 9.
I'd like to microwave my
7,
coffee.
8, 9.
Am I allowed to microwave my coffee during step 8?
I'll do it. You tell them something interesting about
Okay.
art.
So what we're going to be doing now is doing the book. I also want to add a little heart smoke. You know how the steam can come out of a cup of coffee? And I want to add a little bit of transparent kind of steam coming up that makes a heart. Just a little thing. You can add that or not add that depending on your preferences. On the book, you're going to want to use like a tape or a ruler, something to help you get a straight edge if you don't have a particularly steady hand. I definitely am going to be doing so. There's also some really interesting, got to photograph the step. Step 8, let's photograph it so we're not having to pull it off of the video. I would love to know what you guys think of the mini books. If you guys, there's going to be, we're right now capturing that. So the mini books this is their process. We're going to be capturing them. I have to do everything is acrylic April right now. So if I'm not sleeping or teaching you these lessons, I'm doing acrylic April. And it's only my life now, but I actually love doing it, so I don't mind. So to that end, we're capturing these from the lives. And then once they get edited and finally laid out, you'll have them in there anywhere from 2 to 7 days, I think, after a lesson. You can expect those to be up and in there. And then we're hoping to release like a printed from us collection at the end of month, but we'll see how that goes. Hard to say because everything is acrylic April.
Yep.
Everything.
I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for the next break. But I got all sorts of wonderful, lovely stuff to tell people about.
Do you? Mm-hmm. I love this. All right, let's start this step with a little bit of a smoke.
Okay.
I'm gonna take just some of my ultramarine and a little of my sienna. Add some white to this. And so that gives me the beginning of how I'm going to shape out my heart. Remember with steam or anything that is coming up that's, based on evaporation or is some type of gas, that the wind currents of the room will greatly impact it. So I'm going to do a lot of S curves to the hair. I know they're not your favorite.
So my little brain just went, and the air currents in this room made the heart shape.
They did.
They did.
They did.
It was almost like magic.
Just like magic.
It's so realistically depicted.
I find it's nice to start with that sort of blue-gray and then build pops of highlights of the white. That really lets it feel like what it is, which is the steam coming from the cup of coffee. Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
That is, you know what that is? That's coffee sign. You know, much like the spice of Arrakis, it leaves its own sign everywhere it goes. You can tell the spice. It's the coffee sign.
I'm going to try to use my tape to give myself a nice edge.
You're just like, yeah, no Dune references today.
I guess I was. I'm sorry. I
You're
really
just like
dropped
that,
the ball
yeah.
there, baby. I'm super
That's all
sorry.
right. You know, some days
Super sorry.
Some days you're like, no, the spice must flow. And some days you're like, no.
There's no spice. It flows nowhere.
No.
I'm going to add a little bit of my cad yellow into my Naples yellow and my black. I'm going to come here and pull a little deeper, darker than that, but pull this out.
Now I'm going to zoom in here over your
And
right
I will go
shoulder.
ahead and
No, you stay there. Because you're making those have streaks so they look like page strips.
they are, and I am. So I'm being painterly. I'm taking these, to the edges of what we have. I may paint some value. And I can always add a little bit of the red into my yellow, and you can see that kind of oranges it up, and will also help pull the gold in here. I need to get a little bit of my cad red, and what I am constantly fighting in my thing is the hidden water drop. But I'm just trying to catch my Goldilocks zone here, my just right space. So there's always a bit of searching. I'm kind of loving this wet palette, John.
Oh, good.
I will have to see like how hard it is to, because what was it you were saying? It was like edge case or like very specific use.
What its operational envelope was.
It's operational envelope.
Well, because
It was
it was
very
like,
narrow.
was it an easy to use or hard to use thing?
I am not yet sure, to be really honest. We'll see what its cleanup and reuse is. Right. Now, I do want to come here and make sure that I've got a nice edge. And then it is definitely dark, but I do want to have the back of my book. There we go. I'm going to keep this around because I probably will be using it again. I begin to speak to the shadow that's here on our wonderful book.
Mm-hmm.
I love our book. We have two ranges of shadow. There's what's under the cup, right? And then there's kind of a transitional. Whenever you do a still life, you're dealing with light, reflected light, direct shadow, indirect shadow. So just pay attention to the value. Paint what you see, and it will get you through whatever you're doing. Now, we felt like it was the color of our background sky on the book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pull this in, and we're going to test that. As I come right here, I might glaze it a bit and not be as aggressive.
So we've all been in chat discussing what the book is.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think the book is?
Oh, well, it's Annette Marie.
Oh, I see.
It's on my shelf. It's Annette Marie. That's what it is.
Ah.
Look, when I fan hard. I don't know what to say. When I fan hard. So that's how that goes. Now I might take a little of my red into my blue here.
It's not thick enough to be my book.
It's not thick enough to be your book?
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, it's true.
Or Snow Crash or A Young Lady's Illustrated Primer. All of those books are like about twice as that thick. Just...
Let's step back and look at this. And I've got another reflection to put on there. You know, oh, it's so pretty.
It's looking so nice.
I'm sorry. I'm going to be like...
I like it. Yes,
Yep.
Let's get some reference for them to see.
All right. I'm adding a little bit of my cad yellow to my red. And come here. Ugh, I hate the hidden drop. That's that hidden drop.
See, and that's how we know this book isn't Dune. Because the water's running on it.
Good times.
I had to reach deep for that one.
You did.
It was a long,
It was a long
walk.
It's a really long walk. I'm going to let that dry for a minute and come back into my darker value. Let's come along here. And so the trick is we've got to get this little corner. We're going to make a little turn. So we got to turn our corner on our book because the flaps of the book are a little bit past the pages. And so we have to figure out how to do that. I think this is how I like to get there. I'm also going to take a little bit of black in there and I'm going to come down and capture this as well. There we go. Rinse. Going to get into that yellow and white that we had. And this one's a little more in shadow, so I've got to make sure that I've got some black into it. And as John mentioned, we'll be a little bit streaky.
That's important to make it look pagey.
To look pagey.
And that
also,
is a
right
word.
here, we need a little bit of a gray where the pages are making the turn. I've exaggerated it, but I'm going to come back after I pull this down. Pages, I'm going to come back and lighten it up a bit on the edge. Hopefully John can film around me.
I'm filming around you.
Yay!
But
barely.
Well, no, I was going to say I'm actually not filming. I'm videoing now. I don't have film anymore.
That is correct.
It's all digital.
Ugh.
It killed the video star.
Did it? Did it kill the video star, John?
Mm-hmm.
I'm adding a little bit of red in there.
Standing on the shoulders of the radio star. Standing on the shoulders. That's a very booky book.
Yeah, well, we're not playing. Right? Well, we are playing, but, you know.
Now, when it comes to micro misters, have you found one to perform better than another?
This one has been great. This one is stylistsprayers.com. It's been great.
It has worked.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You can step back and look at that.
Donna was like, I had to Google Anne-Marie. Never heard of her.
Not our Donna.
No, is it? Well, yes, it's our Donna, just not.
Donna, not
it's
Donna.
another Donna.
Because there's
Not
a Donna that reads it with me, and we like talk to each other, and I show her my
She
fan art.
obviously
and-
knows, but
Yeah.
it's another Donna. We have many
So
Donnas.
the one I'm really, really into is the Demon Codex, which is part of the Guild series, the Magic Codex series. There's 8 books in that, and there's 4 in the one that I'm reading. I reread the one I'm reading like a bunch of times. You would think it was Jane Austen for as excited as I got about it.
So are we still in the same step, or are you stepping on?
We got to add a highlight.
All right.
Because without a highlight, really isn't any shape, and you got to kind of get that in there. So
Wow.
yeah. All right. So these are looking good.
That's looking fantastic.
It's not bad. I don't hate it. I do not hate it. I'm good with that. All right, so that's the step.
That's the step.
Now we got to do the knitting. The knits. Oh, this is really great.
Yeah.
This is a perfect day, isn't it?
All right. I'll take this.
I'm
and you can
hearing
tell
like
me.
perfect day in the background, just playing in my head. Very happy with this painting. But more importantly, I think you're going to be happy with this painting. If you want the extra help of the written out step-by-step, again, just, watch the video, wait a couple of days. I'll make an announcement in the Art Sherpa official group, on the community tab here, and just around, Twitter, all the places saying, hey, the book's out. Frida's coming out really, really soon. And then, go for it, because I think that those are giving you guys extra help. All right. The wonderful knit.
The knitting part.
All right. First thing that we've got to do is kind of paint, before we put the texture in, we're going to want to paint the basic form or values of it. So let's start working that in here. Take a little bit of my black and red. And we're going to begin to paint the painting. I'm going to start really focusing on the details of this forward part of it, just because I find that if one starts somewhere, it helps the whole process. But really, it's about getting just line, shape, form, and value. Easy to get caught entirely into the details of the weave, and we will, but in a really smart way. We're going to get caught in the details of the weave. It is going to happen. For sure, for sure.
I know you talk about the weave, but it's the hook that brings you back.
Again. Well, we're going to hook too.
Or so Blues Traveler tells us.
Blues Traveler knows all. They know.
They know.
We're just kind of capturing some of the basic shape and space. And then what's wonderful is we come through with my mini palette, then you're going to be able to really come in here and be like, oh, now there's a let's add a bit of a dark value coming along here. Always.
This will be that scarf there.
Yeah, this is going to be the scarf, and we're going to make a point of really capturing that knit feel. There's lots of strategies on how you could get through a project like this. My strategy in general is going to be try to capture base values and colors,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back with my little handheld palette and deal with the details. I'm adding a little bit of black where I think I'm going to be needing it. I feel like there might be some shadow in the patterning of everything. Bring some lines back. Bring these lines around. We're interweaving. This is like a Gorgon's knot of knitting. The way the fabric wants to fold. And that's what you're doing. You're just capturing the values. If I need a highlight through here, let's add that highlight right through there. And I may actually have John break this step into two parts, because if you see where the underpainting is, it might help you get to the part where we start to detailing it out. Because once the detail is in there, the detail is in there.
Mm-hmm.
We want to capture detail for sure, but also value. Dun-dun-dun-dun. You got to get those values. A little more cad red, just shading all the different little elements of the scarf.
The scarf is looking so nice.
It's getting there. It's starting to have a thought. a hue over there,
It's scarfing itself up.
scarfing itself up. I mean, you never know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the scarf is going to be. We're just coming in, playing with that stuff. Play, 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 play. Play, play, play.
Wow.
Put on a little more red. You know, step back, look at it. You want to start to
Yeah.
see the folds, get it from a distance. From a distance. This cup is really cool. And I just dropped my cap.
Oops.
Put cat red paint on the floor.
It happens.
It happens a lot. Gotta clean my caps. Looking good. In the neighborhood. All right, so that's what you're doing is you're just trying to capture, you know, maybe what you see there happening and then how that might work.
Oh, I'm just turned out so nice. I like this.
Yeah, it's going to be real pretty when it's done. It's not bad now, but I think that, again, capturing both the value and the texture of the scarf, which is such a focal point of this cozy, cozy moment. You know you're cozy because there's a scarf.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's cozy. How you know it's cozy? Because there's a scarf, man. Now, rinse out. I'm going to take a little of my all-terrain blue and some of my white. Capture a little bit of this black light. And not only does that do some good for us this way, but it also lets us separate up the scarf space from the cup space. So they exist in their own zone.
Yeah.
Respect the zones, man. Capture those little moments a bit heavier so the love of the coffee is deeper.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is a step.
That's a step.
That's a step, and I'm going to try to prepare my little handheld palette for the next step.
Well, I do believe that this would be step 10.
Woohoo! While John is getting that, if he can focus on my palette, or not, I'm going to mix up some colors and put it on my handheld. So the first part that I'm going to want on my handheld right here in the center is some of my just Cad Red, because I know I'm going to be using some of that. I'm also going to be using some orange. I am using this tool. This is John printed this out for me, and I'm going to use this tool as a way to do quick work. Of different areas that I've got to paint colors on. So I've added some yellow and some red and white.
And can you show them what you're loading there? That little portable. There it is. That
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was on the screen.
No, it's okay.
Okay, and then I'm going to also make some of my deep red.
Some deep red.
Let me put some more red on here so that I can mix as I go. One of the things that I find that I kind of exhaust myself with regularly is traveling from my palette to the canvas and back to my palette again. So I've been asking John to help me solve that. My mom holds a palette knife with paint loaded on it, and that's okay, but often I need more than one color. So this is my test for that. Let's see if my thinking is working. And then I think I will also put out some just black. So I've got a little range of colors on this little travel palette.
You'll have to hold it over the thing for that to see.
I will as soon as I can, babe. I can't right now.
It's okay. I'm just letting you know.
I will the minute that I can. The minute that I can. So here we go.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to give myself some white. And from here, hopefully I can paint. It's really easy to use. It's just hard to hold and have it under the camera where John needs it. That has put everything near me. I'm going to take a number 4 round and a fresh cup of water, and I'm going to do the busy work of painting all the nitty bits.
Okay. I'm going to show them using that over there. The nitty bits. That's pretty cool.
Got so many weird little nitty bits.
Mm-hmm.
And so mostly I'm just working the Cad Red right now. I'll probably come back and add some of the dark colors and then some lighter values, and I'll probably work little ranges of things at first, and then as soon as I can. But already you're seeing that I'm not having to go back and forth to my palette as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I can work much more
now
immediately.
For Heather and everyone else who is asking about the mini palette.
Sorry, John.
It is a 3D printed object.
Which I think we were going to release the free thing for.
Yeah, so if you're interested in this, which I'm seeing you guys are, I'll see if I can get a link dropped here for you.
And we're going to look at seeing if we can't get some for the store some kind of way.
Yeah, we're going to get something like this for the store, but we realized that we can't print them cost effectively.
Or time effectively.
Or time. That's really the time thing. This is like, these are really cool to have, but
it takes the printer like hours.
Yeah, because it's a really small, thick thing. So, but if you'd like to download it and print it yourself, I'll drop a link for you guys.
We're super happy to do that. And then John's looking to see if we can't cast it or come up with some other kind of way.
Yeah, we're going to do a little different version of that we can make available in the store.
I had a ring that I got off of Amazon that was for my watercolor, that was a Hello Kitty ring. I'm going to just keep doing that. Now when I want to do kind of highlights there, I'll come through with some highlights. I can mix these together. Come back through. Let's try to do this. I'm going to step back and make sure I'm getting the effect that I want. Oh, I really like it. It makes me happy in my heart.
It really does.
Right? I do still have to rinse out pretty often. But I think I'm okay with that. I don't mind that too much. Right? So the mix of these was my cad yellow, my cad red, and a little bit of white. My cad red and cad yellow, pure cad red. I've got some white and black here. And I've got cad red and black and a little bit of yellow. So, and I have all that. So just in case I need to be like, oh, let's be a little more of this over here, I can do that pretty easily where necessary. And this is definitely what I was hoping to get out of my circumstance here.
Mm.
And I'm just kind of implying these little textures and then trying to come back through and a nice thick painting application. And I can mix it right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I can mix as I go, which I am liking. And I like the being able to really paint and express the cable knit parts of this as well. I like this very much.
Yeah.
I'm just working my values. Adam's family values. No, just working my values. Got this great shadow color, which I can come in and make sure has that cable knit little feel. Oh my gosh, do you guys love it?
That looks amazing. Really come together.
And I can just mix from my range here. Right? I can mix from my range here and still capture all the little details that I'm, really wanting to get. Even here where it's super in shadow. It's not such a difficult process anymore. You just take what you've got and you just go, what do I see? And then you just paint what you see. Same things that you do on the palette. And here's why this is nice. You can use a palette knife, you could load this on a palette knife and can't hold this over. You could put it on a little plate, just something where you bring the work closer to the canvas, right? Then you're not asking yourself to take this big physical journey, right? You're just working in that space that you know you need to work. I'm just taking a little bit of white and cad yellow, and I'm coming here. So, I'm getting a little cad yellow, a little white, and we're just playing with these. And then I'm going to hold this here for a second so that I can I'll grab a screenshot of that from the video to add into the step-by-step so you can see what it looks like. Every once in a while, you will want to rinse out. You just will. It'll just appeal to you to rinse out. And that's okay. Where you need to rinse out, rinse out. Stepping back, examining the look of the sweater. How it's capturing the light. That's a person that just took a walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
On a beautiful day. Sorry.
It turned out really nice.
Why am I doing an evil cackle? That's a weird response to painting well. Because it's fun.
It is.
It is just simply fun, my friends, to paint well and to enjoy the process and to take on something that maybe feels like super challenging, right? Because it does. It feels super challenging to take on the painting process. And then you see something like a sweater and you're just like, oh my gosh, that's going to be just the worst to paint. And then you're like, oh, that isn't that bad at all. In fact, it's rather okay.
Turned out to be not so bad.
Not so bad. There we go.
Wow. That's it, man. That
That
turned
is
out
it.
nice.
All right. Now,
Is it just a signature?
I think it is, but you know what? Okay, my cup isn't. I'm gonna cram this in my cup so that I'm gonna treat it like a sponge.
What's that? I don't
Oh,
know
the
any
palette, so I can rinse it.
Oh, that's.
So now it is time to sign. What do you guys think?
I think it looks so amazing.
You almost ready to show up
Valerie's
Tuesday night
like,
and do
"How-
Narnia with
That's
me?
an awesome scarf.
It's just an awesome scarf, and you can have an awesome scarf. These things, they're just process. They're just steps, skills, knowledge, experience, process. Notice I didn't go magical talent, pixie dust. Right? I mean, yes, some people have a really unique voice that they add to art, but we all have something creative to offer, which we know when we're children and we kind of forget when we get older. I'm going to put out a little of my fluid white paint. Gonna put out a little of my fluid white paint.
And I'm going to say thank you to Alana and all the folks who sent us stickers and joined Emoji Club and have supported us over here in the YouTubery and all of that fun stuff.
I cannot wait to see y'all's versions of this.
I really look forward to it.
And
to
do
know
you
what
love
books-
these on the big canvas or what? We're not like doing a complicated painting to make the canvas small. We do that on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
But sometimes we get a painting and it's like, it's big and it's wonderful and it can go over your sofa and it's a lot of fun. And 32 by 40, I think, is the next size up from this. You could go big.
Now, if you want to see these steps again, and you want to see that mini palette again, where would you find, like, say, a book that might contain that?
So there's a link in the description below that says mini book coming soon, and then there's a link to the file. So you can check out past mini books that we've already done, because we're just starting them in 2021. We kind of began them a little bit before to test them at the end of December, because we're like, will it work? Will it work? Will it work? And it did work. So now officially they're on. And they're anywhere. Sometimes they're before the class, but with Acrylic April coming up, I would think a lot of times there'll be about 2 to 5 days, 7 days after the class. They'll be there, so you'll be able to find those, and you can just download those.
Yeah.
Just download them.
Just download
Just download them and print them out and have them.
For free.
For freeze. For freeze. So I think that you'll like that, and I'm excited to see how this one comes together. I think it's going to be really great. Plus, remember we have step-by-steps that, like, after this about a day, I get the step-by-step pinnable, and you can pin that on Pinterest. So these exist for you in all those places. In fact, I realize I get to put up some Pinterest story pins. I love it.
Story pins.
Follow me on Pinterest. You're going to love it.
Yes.
Guys, thank you so much for the time that you spend here at this channel. My mom is on Monday nights at some central time. You'll have to go by your channel, hit the remind. I never remember what it is. I'm on Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be doing a beautiful little boy and a snowy owl in a Narnia scene. And then next weekend, it's the butterfly.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that little sunrise butterfly, and that's going to be very much closer into the 1 hoot. This was 2, but that's going to be more into the 1 hoot range. So I'm excited about it. Do you want to do the store, or is it, I don't know, on the way out?
We can do some
shameless
self-promotion.
I think he's reluctant to, because we keep selling out everything really quick.
But I tell you what, I'm not ashamed.
He's
we
not
got a store.
Shameless self-promotion.
Shameless self-promotion. Go to our store.
We'll do it on the end screen, and they can listen to the songs. That'll be cool.
All right.
Shameless. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. The song you're about to hear, the Heart Party official song, is by the artist Ryan O'Neill. Fantastic artist. I'll see you in an easel really soon. Bye-bye.